Introduction. Working in the personal development industry, I have seen multiple people struggle deeply from the terrors of being a victim of narcissistic abuse. My heart of empathy and compassion couldn't bear beholding such suffering from most people who seemed pretty naive about why they kept falling into the snares of toxic relationship dynamics with people who just take and take and take from them. If the narcissist was taking so much from someone who had an overflow and abundance of love and resources to give, it probably wouldn't have looked so bad. Sadly, more often than not, it's those who barely have much who are manipulated to give every bit of what they have until they barely even have enough love and resources to give to themselves. See, what narcissists do is use you as an object to satisfy their selfish desires. They come forth to you with an alluring charm that seems irresistible, and this works well to get you hooked. As you get mesmerized by their false promises and hopes, you can't help but imagine a life of experiencing endless happiness with them. But alas, all this proves to be a mirage, a romance scam the moment those narcs begin to slowly rip off their masks and show you their true colors. When that happens, narcs would have probably trained you already to be super dependent on them. This coaching you undergo is subtle, yet dangerously crippling. It can make you forget the power and worth you have. Worse yet, it can make you forget your true identity and sometimes end up developing what's known as a trauma bond, a connection you feel with your abuser which can make you develop feelings for them. Instead of fighting for the life you deserve, you may end up settling for that person. This happens when the narc manages to convince you that you are only what they tell you that you are. The narcs can make you believe that outside them, you will never be happy. So you start to feel helpless and learn to take in as much toxicity as possible. There are more tragic things that happen to victims of narcissism. We will unpack those somewhere down the line as you read this book. It is well known that narcissists often attract certain types of victims. These are known as codependent people. But what exactly is a codependent? Yes, just as the name suggests, it is a person who depends on other people for their happiness and validation. They are people who have a wounding that makes them look outside themselves in order to feel good, instead of being grounded in their internal knowledge and belief of what's right and true about themselves. That too we will explore in depth soon. What's interesting is that narcissists and codependents are two types of people with the same wound. They both wanted love, attention, validation, and care when they were young, but somewhat failed to get what they wanted. This creates that wound that gives birth to the codependent and narcissistic tendencies you end up seeing. Codependents grow up trying to meet that need for acceptance, love, significance, and attention by pleasing other people, even if it means having to deny their needs and values. On the other hand, narcissists grow up and learn to meet their need for love, validation, admiration, and acceptance by creating a false, grandiose self which they fall in love with. The problem is that it's a fake character or self that they become malignantly obsessed with and spend the rest of their lives trying to convince everyone that's who they are. They start to expect you to worship and admire that false image of themselves, and if anyone dares show a sign of trying to unmask their inauthenticity and true colors, you become their target of sheer harassment. If anyone dares to not love, admire, and do whatever that false image of themselves they project demands, then that person too becomes a target for their abusive behaviors. What's gravely sad about all this is that both codependents and narcs suffer from low self-esteem. Narcs even loathe their true self, hence the need for them to create a fake self that they try to use to cope with their pain of self-hate. See what I mean? Both codependents and narcissists suffer from the same wound and deep desire, the need for acceptance, love, and validation. But the two different people use different ways to get what they want. It may seem like only narcissism is toxic, but the truth is that codependency is toxic too. Both narcs and codependents choose to be disconnected from their true selves and spend most of their lives acting on some character they believe will allow them to get what they want. Unfortunately, the law of attraction makes us attract what we are. Codependents and narcs often find themselves involved with each other. For as long as both have the same wound, they will keep attracting each other.